So I wanted to come on here and give you guys some simple modifications you can make to your jigs to really maximize your time in the water and help you catch some more fish. The first thing I'm going to do to any jig, whether I've bought it or I've built it, is I'm going to adjust the weed guard on it. You want your weed guard to end about where the barb of that hook is. This one is technically a little long, but it's not going to make much of a difference. You just don't want a super long weed guard. You want it to be like a reasonable length. And I'll help you hook a few more fish. Next thing I'm going to do with the weed guard is I'm going to get it to the stiffness I like. You do not want too stiff of a weed guard. If you're in super heavy cover, you can keep the weed guard really stiff if your jig has come stiff. But for me, I'm an open water fisherman. I don't need a super stout weed guard. So I'm going to come in here to these back 1, 2, 3 strands, maybe 4. I'm going to pull them out one by one until I get it to where that guard is the stiffness I like it to be at. You do not want to cut these out. If you cut these back strands out, what you're going to do is you're going to end up with a little nub at the very back of this weed guard that you cannot depress on a hook set. And when you try to, you're going to get a little bump in the weed guard, kind of. And because of that bump, when you hook set a fish, that hook is not going to get as deep in that fish as you want it to every time. You are going to miss fish because you have this little bump in the weed guard. So pull them out with pliers, with your teeth or whatever. Don't cut them short. That's going to work against you. The second thing I'm doing to all my jigs is I'm coming in with scissors or like thinning shears. You can go out and buy thinning shears for this too. Is I'm going to add a little bit of skirt length variance. You can see that not all those strands are the same length. Some are longer, some are shorter. Depending on the length of a strand, it's going to want to flare more or less and move faster or slower in the water. And by having those different lengths in your skirt, you're going to get a variety of action out of your jig. Now, if you're a guy that fishes super muddy water all year, it's not really going to matter. They can't see well enough for it to make a difference. But if you're a Clearwater guy like I am, I really do think having that little bit of variance in your skirt length and that little bit of different action that each strand is going to want to have really does help you convince a couple more fish to bite. The last thing I'm going to do to 90% of my jigs is finesse cut them. If you don't know what finesse cutting is, if we take the skirt and we separate around the band, you can see that there's basically 2 halves of this jig skirt. You got a top half on the head and a bottom half on your hook. And to finesse cut, all you're gonna do is you're gonna hang that top half, the head half, down, and you're gonna cut straight across with scissors. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna give you this little frill around the head of that jig. So you get a little bit of extra action out of it. In the water, when you're moving these jigs that are finesse cut, you get a nice quiver around the head from those really short strands. And the second thing I think it does is I think it kind of camouflages the head of that jig. Now, does that really matter? I don't know. I like the way it looks in the water. It's all a confidence thing. Also, I think having those sticking up along with this main body flaring, it kind of masks the weed guard a little bit more. Once again, does it really matter? I don't really know. But it gives you a little bit of extra action. It kind of camouflages the unnatural components of that jig. And then the last, arguably most important thing this does is it halves the profile of that skirt. Because it's no longer doubled over, you get a much smaller profile. That is way better for finicky fish or clear water or whatever. You just get a much more slimmed down profile, and I really like to look up in the water. You don't have as much crazy stuff going on and like bending over the head of the jig. It just looks way more natural, in my opinion, having that finesse cut on there. I'll leave mine pretty long. I like some length in mine. Some guys will come in and cut them to where they're basically non-existent. It's your jig, you do what you want and what you have confidence in. But I really like the look of having those slightly longer strands in that frill. Okay, so one more thing that I almost forgot to mention is a lot of jigs come with really full skirts on them. Like these dirty jigs, pitching jigs, they come with a really full skirt. The Beast Coast baby dozer jigs, they come with a really full skirt as well. What I'll do if I don't like the how full a skirt is I'll also come in and I will physically pull out strands of the skirt until I get it onto a number I like. Most of my jigs are like 40 count skirts. I like a 40 count. I think it looks the best underwater. I think it does the best under the most conditions. So that's one more thing to keep in mind when you buy your jigs, is you can come in and you can pull strands out if you want to. You don't have to keep the skirt number or the strand number exactly the way it came. You can come in and you can pull out skirt strands as well. And if you do all these things, you modify your weed guard, you add some skirt length variants, you finesse cut them, I really do think you're gonna maximize your chances at catching fish on a jig when it comes to whether you're a bank guy, you're fishing pressured spots, Clearwater spotted bass or something. I really do think these help land you more fish.